Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast and a game between K and USA, also known as Quantic State. Now this is taken from the Korean BattleNet ladders, and it is going to be a Protoss versus Zerg here on Cloud Kingdom. We have Quantic State spawning as the red Protoss player on the top right hand side of the map. Meanwhile, on the bottom left hand side of the map, we have our blue Zerg. Now, first thing I did want to say is that if you guys haven't checked out the World Championship series from Blizzard, those were perhaps some of the best games of StarCraft 2 I have ever seen, and just really enjoyed it into the late night. Now, let's go ahead and see what's going to be happening here as Quantic State, who is currently living in Korea right now, did make it into, I believe, the top 16 of, the top 24 of the World Championship Series, and ended up getting placed in the group with Baby, Knight, and Rain. Unfortunately, Group D, the group of death, as the games do continue. Now, I am interested to see what these players will be going for and what their overall strategies will be. I have known State to go for a fast Nexus or a Nexus first build, so we'll see if that will be the case or if he will be going for that Forge fast expansion. Now, coming down over here, he does notice that K is currently not building up a spawning pool, so I think he could have afforded. Nope, he is building a spawning pool now down over here. Did he actually spot that? Let's take a look. Yes, he did spot the spawning pool coming in, so he should be able to set up a probe there in just a moment. Now, a forge will be established here, and with this is going to turn into a bit of an economic game for at least a little while longer. Let's take a look at the number of probes that are getting queued up. A little bit of long distance mining for that one particular probe there, as the probe still wandering around here trying to make sure that a hatchery is not going to be established. It looks as though the Zerg player is not going to be trying to building a hatchery over here at that third location instead. So a third base being established first. I believe this natural expansion will be established sometime around the 4-minute 30-second mark instead. And this is a really smart move by the Zerg. The Zerg wants to get up as strong of an economy as quickly as possible. That larva inject mechanic, so beautiful in getting up to 70 to 90 drones faster than anyone's business. But meanwhile, we are seeing State now go into a photon cannon, a gateway, and a nexus at his front door. Now, with so many games of StarCraft 2 already being played, I can pretty much predict what's going to be happening in the next stages. State is pretty much going to be sitting up on 2 bases for a little while. He should go into double assimilators eventually, and then also get that Cybernetics core. Perhaps a double assimilator should be an indication of perhaps Stargate Phoenix play. Stargate Void Ray play has become popular as of late. It really comes down to execution. Meanwhile, the Zerg player is going to stay up on 3 bases as long as possible while not getting gas. The reason why is he wants to really saturate as much. He's going to really rely on the speed bonus from that creep in order to get surrounds on stalkers, and also perhaps rely on those queens to defend against any sort of early aggression. Now, coming back over here, we do see that there are 3 probes on gas each. No gas yet being taken here, and I am a bit curious as to what exactly the Zerg player is doing with an Overlord right in this spot. It is hiding in plain sight. Let's take a look. Yeah, hiding pretty much in plain sight there, and this Overlord will get shot down. A new Overlord is going to come into this location, knowing when exactly any units try to move out. So with this, the Zerg player knows when he can drone, and then when he will need to actually produce units. Alright, coming back down over here, State still has not established any gas at his natural. We only see 1 production building so far, and with this 1 production building, he's not going to really be able to defend against any strong attacks. Now, if the Zerg player had decided to actually cancel this hatchery and perhaps go for a 2-base roach push, that may have caught State off guard, but that doesn't seem to be the case now, as we are going to see 1 Overlord try to hide on the top right hand side of the map. It should not be able to make it, as now State is establishing double assimilators now at his natural. At this stage in the game, we are seeing State looking to go into a lot more sentry play. Sentry is very important for that defense. They are very gas intensive though, so it's one of those units, any unit with energy in fact, The longer you have it, the better it is, just because it's able to store up more energy. More force fields means much more utility overall. Now, it is up to State to try and make sure that the Zerg player is pretty much playing in the dark, and we see that to be the case as another Overlord being shooed back away once more. Robotics facility is going to be coming online here. Most likely will be training up observers and immortals. You always want to make sure you have an answer to those roaches, which has such become a common part of the metagame as of late. Harvester count is currently sitting at 44 to 52, and we are now seeing that State has stopped his probe production. With the looks of this, it looks like it is going to be, nope, never mind, he is still training up double probes. Normally around this time, if a Protoss player is stopping his probe production, that normally means he's going to be sticking to a 2-base all-in tactic. That is not the case here, as we still see more and more probes being trained up, and both players pretty much playing very comfortably at this point. Twilight Council is now coming in. 3 additional warp gates will be operational in just a moment. In addition to that Twilight Council here, we should see Blink Stalker play, as we are now going into a warp prism. Currently coming in here, that one observer was able to keep sight of that Overlord now, and this is the time when the Zerg player needs to play perhaps a little bit more defensively, getting the metabolic boost, getting the glial reconstitution in order to actually defend against any sort of attacks that may be coming in from State. We can see level 2 weapons upgrade now coming in. There is that immortal that I mentioned earlier, as we see now a rather quick third coming in by State. Now this is a little bit of a gambit. It can easily get scouted out here, and I'm curious as to what State's response is going to be here when it does in fact get scouted out. You can see that there is a Stalker on the low ground, Roaches, trying to escort this warp prism, and this is a beautiful, beautiful move by State. Utilizing one warp prism, he can actually force all of these Roaches to perhaps simply retreat and return back home. He needs to play defensive, even though he does have about a 40 supply advantage, and this warp prism is just opening up the door for any possible aggression, just in case the Zerg player does overextend. We're now sitting at a 40 supply advantage for the Zerg, but you got to remember the majority of that is currently sitting in Roaches, which are rather cost or supply inefficient. Only 100 resources and then 2 supply there. Immortals pretty much eat through them pretty quickly, as we are now starting to see a wall off here, and with the number of sentries, 3 force fields can quickly trap the number of Roaches here, divide and conquer, and that's exactly what we're going to be seeing as the Roaches try to make their way in. And oh, it looks like one of those force fields is just knocked. Oh, it's actually perfect amount there, as those Roaches are going to get taken down. Is it going to be enough there? Will the Roach be able to get off one more shot? Yes, it does. That Roach already with 2 kills, as we now see a testing of the front door here. There is one photon cannon acting as a little bit more defense there, going to be able to take down some of those Zerglings as the force fields are getting placed down. Roaches are actually getting caught in a really, really strange position, as State actually invested a lot in those force fields and didn't get much in terms of a return there. So Roach is now attacking both doors, and here we go once more. Zerglings now trying to take down these warp gates here. Stalkers have arrived. The Stalkers do in fact have Blink though, so if there is any sort of retreat by the Zerg, the Stalkers will be able to at least catch up and pick off a little bit more units. We're seeing that 63 probes versus 57, and now in comes the double expand in opposite directions by Zerg, which is so difficult for Protoss to actually defend against. Protoss is generally a little bit slower, and with a double expand here, all the Zerg player needs to do is cancel one of these hatcheries in order to get the other one operational here. And now we do see that warp prism by State. So State will be warping in a round of Zealots, as it looks as though one pylon was either destroyed or canceled. Here we go. There's a wall of pylons there. The Roaches have to think twice about trying to make their way in, as one probe does get taken down. And here is that aggression once more, as another attack coming in at the main gate. So far, it looks like some of those pylons will get taken down here, but there's plenty of pylon power for all of these Zealots to warp in, as the Roaches are in a little bit of a serious problem. Stalkers should be blinking forward. We do see one of those warp gates taken down, but this should be rather easy for State to clean up, as those Roaches are now simply in retreat. Now coming back here on the front door once more, those are those beautiful force fields that we needed to see. Perhaps 3 to 4 force fields too many, but the Roaches were not able to fire back, as one Immortal able to clean up even more attacks again. Stalkers, there's that blink from those retreating roaches, taking off an additional one in retreat. We are now going into a Stargate, a Templar Archives, and now level 3 weapons upgrade for the entire ground army. The Zealots were able to warp in down here and then cancel this 4th base. But unbeknownst to State, there's already a 4th base operational here at the 9 o'clock position. So far Zerg in a very good position there as a new base once again being re-established. Now, at this point, Protoss could try and State could try and establish this nexus off here as he starts to slowly expand and being able to put aggression onto the Zerg 4th or 5th base, depending on how you're counting. Mutalisks now trying to make their way in off over here. A little bit of damage done, but Mutalisks have really fallen out of favor as of late. This Mutalisk harassment, more to keep State honest, perhaps try to get him to turtle up on these 3 bases instead of establishing up a 4th and hoping that his economy will take him through the rest of the game. You can see Charge now coming in, level 3 weapons upgrade, and we are now going into a fleet beacon, so this could in fact be that mothership that we are looking for. I haven't seen any real training of Phoenixes with the additional range upgrade on those Phoenixes, so perhaps none of that just quite yet, as one Roach will stay alive just by sheer, I guess, apathy of the Immortals, High Templars, and Sentries off here. Let's take a look at the army costs. Looks like State is slightly ahead. No, let me reverse that as we now see another 700 minerals worth of units come in. 96 drones coming in, so pretty much at this point, the Zerg player is able to replenish his army with a very, very strong economy in just a matter of seconds. Pylon, will it get cancelled? No, it's not. It will get destroyed there as the sentries are now being forced to back off. Psystorm about nearing completion. We are getting into heavier and heavier Mutalisk play, and those storms will have to be really perfect in order to deal with the Mutalisk that we currently see out on the field. Stalkers still bouncing around in the back. Is this going to be enough? Level 1 armor upgrades now coming in. Mutalisk quickly testing that front door, realizing that they cannot break it at all. And now the Mutalisks are perhaps hunting for additional bases, making sure that there's no ninja expansions coming in from State. Mothership now warping in as well, or I believe just getting trained. Where is it being trained? It's being trained back in the main base. Wants to make sure that it is not scouted out. Photon cannons are off over here. No shield upgrades on those photon cannons, so those Mutalisks will be able to clean this up in just a hurry. Stalkers now blink their way forward. And will it be enough to push those Mutalisks back? No, the Mutalisks are all once again retreating, as those photon cannons will need to be re-established to make sure those Mutalisks are not able to just get free reign on all of those easy picking probes. Here we go, Mutalisks. There's some beautiful storms now as all the Mutalisks are just simply flying through, and wow, that was exactly the engagement that State needed. 5 or 6 Psystorms just going across all of those Mutalisks. The Mutalisks, if you do not remember, where the Psystorm is on the ground is actually where they take that damage. And there is the GG coming in from the Blue Zerg. Perhaps a bit premature, but after losing that many hit points on all of those Mutalisks are not going to be able to reach critical mass anytime soon. And let's take a look at the overall losses. 6,000 more losses about for the Zerg player than Quantic State. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed that rather short game where beautiful Psystorms just made the difference.